Namandab, 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 namandab. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. I think some of you I know haven't been here since the New Year, but even if you have, this is actually our first service in the Hondo this year because we did service downstairs. Something changed, and so there will be a quiz later, and so see if you can tell what's different about up here, and I'll talk about that later. For now, we'd like to begin. This is our January Shotsuki monthly memorial and Dharma family service, and so we're doing it kind of combined. And this Shotsuki memorial service is a service where many people here, you're here in remembrance of a loved one who passed away in this month. And it may have been last year or could have been 50 years ago or any time ago, but we read the names of all the people that passed away in this month here connected to this temple. But it is open to anyone, so if you're here not for that, that's fine. So I'd like to begin by reading the January Shotsuki names. Haruko Ajari, Joan Aochi, Emi Calkins, Masumi Deguchi, Shichigoro Doi, Ichiro Endo, Robert Forte, Fujiko Fuji, Arata Fujikawa, Chika Takasaki Fujikawa, Jin Fujikawa, Tom Fujimoto, Shizue Furuyama, Kenji Hayashida, Mei Hayashida, Jun Hiramatsu, John Hiramoto, Shizue Hirota, George Hoshide, Takeshi Ikeda, Dean Inokuchi, George Inoue, Masao Inoue, Tomi Isono, Hiroko Ito, John Itoda, Tatsuo Kanagaki, Norikazu Kaneko, Chiono Kanzaki, Tsurunosuke Kase, Marion Kato, Harry Kawabata, Kamenosuke Kawabe, Kanjuro Kawabe, Yoshiaki Kawaoka, Charles Kawasaki, Pauline Kawasaki, Sadano Kayatani, Ikuzo Kido, Yuri Kido, Hajime Kihara, Kihara ancestors, Hisao Kimura, Kojiro Kimura, Tanegusu Kimura, Toku Kimura, Suna Kinoshita, Yoshimi Kishi, Suematsu Kitagaki, Shuntaro Kiyota, Yoshio Kobata, Konami Kobori, Shizue Koyama, Misato Kuramoto, Shigenobu Kuramoto, Sugie Kuroki, Tsuru Kua, Kuniko Masuda, Sueme Masuoka, Linda Matsutani, Lu Minamoto, Urai Miyamoto, Fujie Mizusaki, Tomiko Mizuki, Sunao Mizuki, Kayo Murakami, Yoshita Murakawa, Leslie Muranishi, Jitsujiro Nakahara, Kichi Nakahara, Seijiro Nakanishi, Fusa Nakano, Chizuko Nakashima, Mieko Nakatani, Yoshie Nakatani, Iwao Dan Nakatani, Fujio Narasaki, Tagaichi Negi, Tomiko Neishi, Midori Nelson, Jakusho Nita, Violet Nobori, Dorothy Nomiyama, Dick Nomura, Frank Norimoto, Suekichi Ochikubo, James Ogawa, Kato Okai, Yuki Okawa, Kiku Okawa, Otono Okawachi, Yoshio George Oto, Joe Otsuka, John Raymer, Kikue Sakamoto, Faith Sasaki, Fumio Sasaki, Gunbei Sasaki, Hisaka Sasaki, Jingoro Sasaki, Ishino Sasaoka, Otome Satake, Yaoichi Satake, Tomie Satake, Ura Sawada, Ben Toshio Seiji, Shizuko Seiji, Toshio Shibata, David Shigematsu, Toku Shimamoto, Kyoko Shimao, Fumie Shinomoto, Kume Shiozaki, Wendy Shiroma, Miles Suda, Kenji Suzuki, Osamu Takahashi, Hazue Takeda, Koki Takeda, Mary Takemoto, Shizuko Tamori, Yoshihiro Tamori, Tomiko Tamura, Sumi Tanaka, Tamotsu Tani, Hisaichi Taniguchi, Mitsi Tanisawa, Tsuneno Tanisawa, Yoshiko Tanisawa, Chieko Tanita, Yoshie Tanita, Lily Yuriko Terusaki, Yoshiko Teraura, Fumi Torora, Sachiko Toyofuku, Hisajiro Tsuboi, Mareo Tsuchiya, Takenori Tsuchiya, Genkichi Tsujimoto, George Kumao Tsushima, Totaro Umemoto, Yukie Utsurogi, Hyozo Yamamoto, Katsuko Yamamoto, Kenneth Shigeo Yamamoto, Masako Yamamoto, Ted Yamamoto, Kihei Yamane, Tsurukichi Yamane, Toshio Yamashita, Yosaku Yamashita, Yoshie Yamato, Toyotaro Yanagi, Tomo Yasukawa, Kami Ii, Motomi Yokomizo, Shelly Yuto, Toshiyuki Yuto. Okay, next we will have Sutra chanting, and today let's chant Sanbutsuge, which is on page 22 in the small book and page 79 in the large book. Namanda, 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 namanda. Nyozenmyo Muyotosha Nichigatsumani Shuko Enyo Kaishitsu Onpei Yunyaku Jumok Nyorai Yogen Chosemurin Shogaku Daion Koru Jippo Kaimon Shojin Sanmai Chie Itoku Muryo Shushoke Jintai Zennen Shobutsu Hokai Gujin Jin no Kugo Gaitai Mumyo Yokunu Seson Yomu Ninno Shishi Jin Toku Muryo Kukun Kodai Chie Jinmyo Komyo Iso Shindo Daisen Ganga Sabuts Zai Shoho Kado Shoji Mifugedatsu Fusejoi 解任精進如是三昧知恵以上五世特別不行志願一切空一切大安決し有物百千億万無量大小衆如五者供養一切使徒諸仏不如愚道賢聖不客非如五者諸仏世界不不可け無種節道光明師匠変死諸国如是精進異人難如両が差別国土第一五種奇妙道場超絶国如内音二無とそがと愛民道達一切実法内省心熱症状意図が国経楽安穏古物神妙是が心象発願の非力少所欲実法世尊知恵無下上領子孫知が信行権量心身食毒中学業精進忍辱不敬ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくど 平等性際道本も大心往生安楽国ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏 Okay. Next, let's recite the three treasures, which is in the small book on page 3, I believe. The three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma, now we hear it. If you do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we should be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Okay. Well, welcome once again to our January Shotsuki monthly memorial, Dharma family service, and Happy New Year. It's not our New Year service. We did that a couple days ago. But like I said, we did that downstairs because something up here changed. So it's quiz time. If you know the answer, don't say anything because I know some of you know. But if you don't know the answer, can you tell what's different up here? We took the whole thing apart and put it back together on Friday. Hardwood floor under my feet. Before there was carpet, the same as out here in the Gyejin. And so we had a feeling there was actual wood under here. And when we took the stuff from Japan, sent it to Japan, right? And then we saw there's definitely wood underneath. So they pulled up the carpet. It had been glued down, apparently. So they had to take off all that fuzz that was kind of sticking here and then sand it and everything. But we think it looks really nice job. So this is one part of our 125th anniversary this year, and part of that celebration is kind of refurbishing the Naijin. The other parts, the Kuden and the Shumidan and the stuff that we sent back to Japan will be coming back in February. And we're going to put it all back in that first week of February, and then the annual general meeting will be the opportunity to kind of unveil it and be able to see our refurbished Naijin. So kind of with New Year's still in mind, and I know for some of you this might be your first visit to the temple in the new year, and I wanted to kind of continue one of the things I talked about during my New Year's Eve and New Year's Day services, and it's this idea that I kind of came up with. It's not an original idea, I don't think, but I think it needs clarification. My slogan for 2026, my personal slogan, is to try and activate my best self. Activate my best self. But that, I think it needs clarification, right? Because so I came up with kind of three ways to think about it. One is just kind of the everyday perspective, and maybe when you hear that, that's what goes off in your mind. So last night I went online. I should have done it much earlier, but I went on Google and I put in "activate my best self" to see what came up. And the one that I saw more was "become your best self," right? To become your best self. And it's kind of I think we could think of it as kind of self-improvement or self-help kind of idea, right? To try, if I want to look at how I'm living my life and want to make some changes, maybe one way to approach it would be to try and become my best self. I think I like activate better because to become your best self has a kind of finality to it to me, right? That I'm going to become that. Right? Whereas I see it more as a process. I mean, you could probably see that as a process too. Process of becoming my best self throughout my entire life. Right? I kind of like the idea of activate because I was thinking I have a battery-powered leaf blower, right? And normally you turn it on, it's like, and I'm blowing. But sometimes when I get to a kind of maybe it's sticky, they're stuck to the roof or wherever I am, then there's a turbo button. It's more powerful, it uses up the battery more, right? So is it that kind of activation, right? That maybe there are certain circumstances where I want to activate my best self, right? And so I don't know. One thing I found online, this is from Notes by Thalia. I don't know who that is, but this is one of the things I came up with when I Googled. So this is kind of a self-help kind of way of approaching this. Start by getting clear on your core values, setting meaningful goals, and envisioning the future you want. Then master your daily habits. Build a wellness routine that actually fits your lifestyle and commit to the basics: sleep, movement, nutrition, and self-care. So that's it. Good luck. It's pretty good, right? It captures a lot of it, but that's not easy to do, right? There's a lot in there. But I think it's pretty good, right? I like the first one, get clear on your core values, right? How many of us feel that way? I feel pretty good in a way because I've been Buddhist for like 30 plus years, right? And I feel like my core values are Buddhist values. Right, and I've expressed them as awareness, kindness, and appreciation as one way to think about it, right? So, but for you, to think about what are my values? Some of them might be Buddhist, but some of them might come from more general life, right? And so there's a lot of ways. That one in itself could be hours and hours of discussion. Meaningful goals, that's one of the hard ones, right? With resolutions, New Year's resolutions, envisioning the future you want. I think it feels harder now just because of what's going on in the world and that so much is beyond our control and some horrible, horrible things. No more war. Stop waging war on other countries. That's one of my values, is that we don't need more war, especially when you just want to take stuff from people. But envisioning a future, right? It doesn't have to be on that massive level. It can also be in your kind of daily life. And then master your daily habits. Good luck on that one to me. I'm telling me that one. But I think if you realize, hey, I do have some habits that I'd like to change, that to me is maybe the first step, is realizing, right? Realizing, no, I want to make a change here, and I'm going to try to do that. So that's, one way we could do it. And then but that isn't necessarily Buddhist. That's just self-help, self-improvement, which isn't a bad thing. Right, but that's kind of one aspect for it, and that's kind of why I wanted to clarify what I meant by activate your best self, because you could just hear it in that way, and it's just, hey, try and live a better life. Big help, right? But this helps break it down a little bit, but not necessarily Buddhist. So another way to approach it is a more Buddhist perspective. So activate my best self, become my best self within a Buddhist context. Taking what we learn about Buddhism and putting that into practice. And that, to me, is a core part of Buddhism. To try and see myself, try to see myself as I am, and aspire for something greater. Buddhahood. That's our Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism is trying to become Buddha, ultimately. That's the ultimate goal. Right? It's kind of different maybe than some other religions. Buddhism, it's like it offers Buddhahood as the goal, and that we can try and live our lives aspiring for that. That's the awaken in ourselves your supreme will from the three treasures. That's what that means. It means awaken the aspiration for enlightenment, and then the other side of it is awaken the aspiration to help all beings, to liberate all beings. So that goal of Buddhahood is, on one aspect, improve myself, perfect myself in the context of the truth that Buddha taught. So understanding impermanence, maybe even awakening to impermanence, understanding interconnectedness, understanding, well, here's another one, no self. So if we really want to go hardcore Buddhist, to become my true self is to find that there's no self. There's actually no self, anatman, muga, right? That Buddhism goes really far into this, and you probably rarely hear me talk about this stuff, because it's so hard. I was going to add an F word in there, but I'm not, because I've been watching a lot of Stranger Things, but I caught myself. See, so self-improvement, I can do it. But this idea of no self, that ultimately there's no self. Why am I so concerned with me, when ultimately there's no self? But Buddhism also recognizes, yeah, but there is a kind of conventional self. There is something that looks like a self, right? That I've been thinking about this talk for 2 days. If there was no continuity, what would I have in my head, right? That who I am depends. Last month I talked about my dad's 25th year memorial, right? If there's no self, who cares? Well, from Buddha's perspective, maybe ultimately no self. But from our perspective, from my unenlightened perspective, there's some kind of self, right? And that's the self that I want to try and work on. But that's kind of the level that Buddhism can take us to. I mean, we just don't really talk about it so much because Shinran didn't really embark on that project, right? But other kinds of Buddhism, maybe it is awaken to impermanence. Really see it, that nothing, it's always changing. Interconnectedness, that nothing exists in and of itself. It's all through the connections with other things. And that's maybe the no-self aspect too. And if you're kind of like, well, if you're like, what is he talking about? I'm going to take a nap. Okay. If you're kind of like, what is he talking about? That's interesting. I'm going to take up some of these topics in the study class in this spring. And so look at some of these ideas of impermanence, interconnectedness, no self, etc. So we will have a chance to look in more detail. The third one, and this is maybe the one where I'm really coming from, so we have the everyday perspective, activate your best self in just an everyday kind of sense. Buddhist perspective, more kind of general Buddhist, which can get pretty intense, right? But we can use, another is Four Noble Truths that we're going to do in January, right? And Four Noble Truths asks us to look at life and how we approach it, and that we may find dissatisfaction and even suffering. And Buddha has kind of an answer for that, right? So that we can look to Buddhism to maybe help us in this goal of becoming my best self. So the general perspective, Buddhist perspective, and then the third one is the Shin perspective. Shin Buddhist perspective, our specific school of Buddhism. And I mentioned Shinran. Shinran Shonin is the founder of this school, 1173 to 1263, medieval Japan, a monk who tried his hardest, became a monk at age 9, and then by age 29 he's a bad monk and gets married, has children. Right? He's basically breaking the rules, and yet still Buddhist, still walking a Buddhist path, but having turned to the Pure Land path. Right? And so the teachings that I really follow, I mean, of course, I'm totally into the more general Buddhist stuff, but I think it's Shinran's insights that are really, really important. And so what does that mean to become my best self? Shinran would say, become your foolish self. Which sounds very different, right? Best self means, no, I gotta do my best, and I gotta succeed, and I have to advance, and I have to always be getting better, and better, and I gotta fix myself. What's wrong with me? Fix it. I'm gonna get therapy, I'm gonna become the best person I can be. Whereas Shinran is saying, become your foolish self. Right? To try and see myself as I am, which is not enlightened, and sometimes not that great. Right? That I'm not kind and gentle to every single living thing. Right? I can barely do it to people, right? But then to animals and those kind of things, I'm not, well, I try. And that's another aspect, though, of my limitations. We had the cat, a mother cat came, 2 months ago? So if you saw in the entranceway, there's like a feeder and a box and water dish, right? And she brought her kittens, and so there were these 2 really cute kittens living under the stairs by the elevator. And so I started trying to feed them, and one of them would come up to me, and I could almost pet him, and we were going to try to catch them. 2 days later, they disappeared. We don't know if she moved them or if they were killed or died. We're really not sure. But Mom has been coming back. And so we've been feeding her and a couple of the other neighborhood cats that appear to be her kind of frenemies. They don't fight, but they're not exactly friends either. But trying to take care of them. I got a spay appointment for the mom. And so that's going to be a project of trapping her and getting her to the place. And I'm realizing like how difficult it's actually going to be, but going to try. 1 cat. Maybe 2. Maybe we can get the other one, right? How many stray cats are out here? Right? Not the band. The stray animals that are out here, right? I can't help them all, right? And so I think that's one of the limitations that Shinran sees. And he uses this expression: it's truly difficult to help others as we wish. We wish we could help others, but we're limited, right? We have these limitations, and yet. That doesn't mean that we just give up, right? That we strive, we still try. So I feel like maybe as a Shin Buddhist, I'm doing all 3 of these, or trying to do all 3 of these, right? Trying to improve myself in a kind of everyday, regular sense. Trying to use Buddhism as part of that, right? To try and improve myself in this sense of walking the Buddha way. Walking this path towards Buddhahood and trying to take all this stuff I talk about and use it in my daily life. And then the Shin perspective too, that actually Amida Buddha accepts me as I am. Nothing needs to change. I don't have to become a better person to go to the Pure Land. I don't have to change anything actually. And yet, I feel like maybe realizing that embrace, we call it embraced, never to be abandoned, right? This embrace of wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha, that embrace, and finally realizing, whoa, I'm okay as I am. I don't have to feel guilty about all that stuff and the way I treated my parents and the way I've lived my life until now. But that's when change becomes possible. Maybe that's when I can truly see myself and maybe make some changes in my everyday life. But also knowing that I'm being transformed by Amida Buddha. So the last thing I want to touch on, so I'm going to back off of this self-improvement stuff and just think for Shotsuki, for this monthly memorial, a lot of these are part of that, the Buddhist stuff I talked about, right? Impermanence, that we have to face this reality of impermanence. Renyo says, when the winds of impermanence blows, our eyes are closed forever and our face loses its color. Right? That impermanence comes and no one can get away from it, right? That we're all going to pass. And so the names that I read at the beginning are people who've died, people that have passed away. And yet we still remember them, still calling their names out year after year well, sometimes a couple of these names I'm reading for the first time. Right? Other names I've read 16, 17 times because I've been here 16, 17 years. Right? Other names from way before that. And yet still reading these names out, still remembering them. And then the interconnectedness part. So if you had a name read, right, you can kind of think, wow, that was my mom, or my grandmother, or my sibling, or my aunt, or whatever. But realize that's really important, because you make them who they are. Right? By being a daughter, you make them a mother, and they make you who you are. Right? That they're part of you. And so I think that's one way we can think of them. They're still, even though they're gone in the physical sense, and we know that truth, right? And this truth of impermanence that's so hard to accept. And yet, also, they're still with us, still part of us, still making us who we are, and in a Buddhist Shin sense, that they're actually Buddha, thinking of us at the same time with Amida Buddha and all the other loved ones that we've lost, right? Thinking about us, part of that wisdom and compassion that comes to us always. So I want to really thank you for joining us for this January Shotsuki monthly memorial, and also this kind of first service of the year here in the Hondo, second service of the year, first one here in the Hondo, and just this kind of idea. I did put out, so I apologize for the New Year's Day stream. It was kind of rough getting all the technology set up, and I just forgot to hit the mute button to unmute, so there's no sound on the video. So I had to re-record the talk, so that's up online. I also did a kind of similar talk, of that Activate Your Best Self talk on my YouTube channel. And that's one thing I want to try to do this year, is make like a video a week, short minute video a week. That's one of my goals for 2026. But I got a thumbs down on the talk. I got one thumbs down, and you just have to let it go. Don't obsess about it. But that's part of the beauty of YouTube and social media. Wondering about what do people think, but leave me a comment and give me some constructive criticism here, people. I did get 3 likes, so it's 75% likes versus dislikes. It's a weird world in social media if you've ever had to dive into that. But I really do want to kind of continue this idea, and that it isn't just self-help, right? Although I think self-help and self-improvement is one aspect of being interested in Buddhism. But that's another thing I want to take up this year, is why Buddhism? Why do it? What's the point? Right? And I think there's a lot of different answers, and we don't all have to have the same answer. But yeah, that was really, and it was really interesting, because I did that. I'll close with this. I did that short video after I did the re-recorded New Year's Day video. So I did the New Year's Day with the whole setup, and then I just, using my phone, just did a short with my phone to do the video, and I didn't put it out until January 2nd because of doubt, because of self-doubt. Was that good enough? Was that a good? Did I really say what I wanted to say? Should I put this out even? And on January 2nd, I said, just put it out. And I put it up, and I got one unlike, I got one thumbs down, but at the same time, I just got to do it, right? There's this whole balancing act between trying to put out the perfect product or whatever it is, content, right? Or just putting it out there, right? And hoping maybe for some interaction too, and feedback on the ideas. And so it's actually, doing those videos is also a chance for self-reflection, right? And seeing myself. And I feel like that's a lot of what Buddhism is, right? That we take this opportunity when we're shown something about ourselves, and it might be something we don't like. It's okay, right? It's actually kind of a gift to get that insight into myself. And remember, Amida Buddha accepts you as you are. Perfectly imperfect might be another kind of everyday way to say it, but it's also part of the path. I think part of this process of activating our best selves, and saying the Nembutsu, which is the key part. So why don't we conclude with that as we recite the Nembutsu, the name of Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Any announcements? I can do a couple. So next weekend is kind of busy. Next Saturday is the first study class, and we'll be doing Four Noble Truths. And then the next day, January 11th, is our Hongo service. That's the memorial service for Shinran Shonin, one of, if not the most important service in the Shin Buddhist service calendar. And we have a special guest speaker, Reverend Kodo Umezu, Minister Emeritus. He's retired, but we bring him back to give us a talk, and there'll be Dharma school, so I'm really looking forward to that service. We have a couple more services on Sundays, every Sunday this month, and so those are, I think, the main things. And then in February, check the calendar, because actually the first Sunday in February will be Shotsuki. The second February will be our annual general meeting, and by then we'll have the altar items back and everything. So please come for the annual general meeting, not only to participate in your church's life and the decision making, but also to see the Naijin in its full glory and have fun too. We'll have New Year's party. Should we have a Gatha? Ondokusan II? Oh, let's do Ondokusan II, please. Page 220 in the large purple book. It's in the small one, too. Oh, yeah. 76 in the small book. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Okay, thank you. This will conclude our January Shotsuki Monthly Memorial and Dharma Family Service. You can come up and do Oshoko if you have not done so already, and we can probably hang out downstairs for a little bit. There will be a BEC meeting at 11:30 in the small chapel. Thank you. Namo.